Hi there folks, and welcome to the next episode of Tom Talks, the panel discussions brought to you by the Two Oceans Marathon. These panel discussions are designed to celebrate everything that is great about the world's most beautiful marathon. My name is Sean Falconer. I am the convener of the Tom Talks, but for today's episode, we asked Professor David Maralack, former chairperson of the Two Oceans Board, to lead the discussion. And as you'll see in this episode, he was joined in studio by some of the most decorated finishers of the race in its rich 50-year history.
Good day everybody, and welcome to Tom Talks. Today we'll be speaking about the early years of Two Oceans Marathon, conquering Chappies, conquering Constantia Neck. We know those nostalgic days are sort of in the mists of our memories, but to help us reflect on those days, we'll be speaking to four esteemed guests who've won silver medals, gold medals, and some of them ran this race for 44 years. Today, we are joined in studio by Tony Abramson. Welcome, Tony. 44 Two Oceans medals. We are also joined in studio by Maxwell Godloza, 32 medals, 14 silver medals, probably one of the most silver medals in the race, and then also a gold medalist, came 8th. We also have on Zoom joining us Louis Massain, who also have 44 medals. He's Two Oceans Blue number 35, and Tony Abramson is Blue number 36. And we understand that they were dicing it out on their 10th, where one person, we won't mention who, came in 2 minutes ahead of the other. Today, we would also have been joined by Lucille Damon, who is the first person who would have had, first woman who had 30 Two Oceans medals. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us, and we will have a later insert with her. To start off, Tony, welcome. You started running this race in 1971. What did it feel like in those early years when there were 46 runners on the starting line?
Thanks, David. Well, maybe I can just relate how it all started for me and how the race panned out in 1971. In the previous year, I was a student at UCT staying at Driekoop in residence. And there was a guy there called Preston Moorcroft who'd run the Comrades that year. And he regaled us with his experiences of having run the Comrades and sort of filled us with thrall and rapture about this incredible feat. So I can blame Preston if he's watching for my running career, if you like. And he ran two Oceans in the 70s. He was quite a good runner. Anyway, so I resolved immediately to run the Comrades the following year. That was what started me off. And I went off on vacation, no running, came back in March, and that was the first time I started running. And I got in tow with the guys from the UCT running club. And about a week or so before the Two Oceans, they said, well, there's a long run, you must come and join us. So I never heard of the race. So I started the Two Oceans in that way. Of course, there were no seconding tables in the first race, as there weren't for many years beyond there. But there was a guy on a bicycle who was sort of looking after several of us. But by the time I got to Chapman's Peak, he was gone. I don't know. He disappeared completely. I was completely left on my own, running at the back of the field. And I just have vague memories of walking endlessly up Constantia Neck, and I have no recollection of the last 10 Ks at all. But I do remember that when I crossed the finishing line in Brookside, they were busy packing up to go. And so, that was the end of my first one. But I did much better later on. But I mean, the first time I ran, I went on to do the Comrades afterwards. But I would recommend to anybody that they shouldn't follow my lead.
So just to get this clear, Tony, this was your first race, and there were no water tables, there were no food tables on that particular race. This was your first road race.
This was my first ever road race, yes.
And you wouldn't advise that to any of the runners?
Not at all. And my second ever road race was the Comrades, which followed about 6 weeks later.
Louis, you Two Oceans Marathon number 35 also have 44 medals under your belt. Tell us about your early experiences of Two Oceans Marathon.
Thank you. Well, 1976 was my first Two Oceans Marathon. It wasn't my first race. My first race was the Comrades in 1973. I just want to add on to what Tony have just said. But being invited down to Cape Town to run my first Two Oceans Marathon in 76, the race started across the rugby field. What a start. And everybody needed to get out the gate. Small little gate through the fence. What a bottleneck, the first bottleneck in the race. The following year, I actually opened up the fence. It went slightly better getting through the gate. But where was the next bottleneck? Was across the railway line. So 76, bottleneck, 77, exactly the same with a bottleneck. Well, to run Two Oceans and going up Chapman's Peak was absolutely, it is the most beautiful race in the world, as far as I'm concerned, with the stunning views that you really experience running past Muizenberg, St. James, Fishhoek, across the peninsula to Noordhoek, up Chappies, Little Chappies, Chapman's Peak, going into Hout Bay, absolutely stunning, stunning views. No watering stations. Myself and another friend of mine, also here from Welkom, Lionel de Haas, friend of my nephew, actually seconded the both of us. And the gap was, between the two of us, was about 30 minutes gap between the two of us. So we really battled with refreshments along the way. We bummed actually drinks from other seconds that was runners seconds that was helping them. Then eventually going up Constantia Neck, I can remember cramps. Going up Constantia, that was quite a battle going up Constantia Neck. Once I got to the summit of Constantia Neck, it started going far better, and I'm preferring to run actually a downhill race, downhill. So it went very, very well with me. But, you know, going down Constantia, on the other side of Constantia Neck, it's not flat. It's not downhill all the way. Hulle lieg vir jou. So yes, eventually finishing my first Two Oceans, and that just brought me back to Cape Town year after year. And well, to imagine 44 consecutive Two Oceans, yes, it's quite a milestone.
Louis, that's quite incredible. 44 consecutive races are, you know, it's a feat. I mean, anybody's books. We would now also like to welcome Maxwell Godloza. He is also referred to as Maze and also popularly known as Mr. Hotlegs. Maxwell, please tell us about your first experience, particularly as a gold medal winner, coming 8th. Tell us about those days when you were really at the forefront of the race.
Thank you very much, Tay. My first Two Ocean was 1986. Then I started running Two Ocean because it was a big challenge between me and my best friend, Gary van Rooyen. And then those years we were more into water sport, surfing, not into running. But we ended up getting into running because it was very challenging. We said, we started with a Peninsula Marathon, 1985, and then we did that. We finished sub 4 hours. That was a great achievement. Then we did Two Ocean in 1986. And then we were all chasing for silver. That was very, very amazing. The Two Ocean those years were only few runners, but the atmosphere was fantastic. And then we had a very good run. I ran my first silver. I was happy. And then the following year, I was looking forward to do my better my time on a silver. And there was a prize on the Western Province. If you come first, Western Province, you'll get a ticket to fly to Joburg or Durban. and then one night in a hotel of your own. Then I thought, I said to Gary, this one is going to be mine. And then we made a bet. I said, I'm looking forward. I don't care who's on a race. I'm going to win this race. I want to be first person province. And as I came up Chapman's Peak, then I saw Eric Bateman. He was one of the top runner. I saw Eric Bateman was cruising, but he was tired. I said, that's my chance. And then I saw John Donald. John Donald was also there. Then when I passed them, two of them, I said, this is my day. I'm going to get that first prize. Then when I came up to Constantianek, I didn't know, I thought I was the first person province. I saw the guy from Correctional Service, Carl Lipitrach. Carl Lipitrach was leading. I said, this is a tough time. I'm not going to beat this guy. He's strong as a rock. And then I stayed behind him. We ran together all the way to finishing. When he came on the gate of Brookside, I decided I want to win the prize. I sprinted out 200 meters, I beat him.
Maxwell, what does it take to win 14 silver medals and the gold medal?
It all depends on the training you're doing. The mileage I was doing in those days, I was doing a high mileage. I was believing on 160 Ks a week, training for tuition. Then that will take me about 3 to 4 months of hard training towards the tuition. And then that alone, it takes a lot of determination because you have to train hard twice a day, in the morning, in the afternoon. And then that's where I achieved all my 14th silver medal without any pain.
Thanks, Maxwell. Louis, you spoke to us. We always remember the good memories when we run Two Oceans Marathon. You've won 6 silver medals, and you're also known to have said that Two Oceans gave you the best as well as the worst memories of winning a silver medal. You want to tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, well, running 6 silver medals in my career has been quite great. And why I say actually to run 56 kilometers and to run 90 kilometers. Now, most of the athletes say to run Two Oceans, it's far more difficult than what's running Comrades silver medal. What is difficult? For sure, Comrades is far more difficult than what Two Oceans is. But why do we say that the Comrades silver medal is far more difficult? The Two Oceans silver medal is far more difficult than what the Comrades silver medal is. If you really work it out pro rata, at the time that you've got available running 56 kilometers in a silver medal time of 4 hours is far less than what it is, what you've got available in running 90 kilometers in 7.5 hours. That's why Two Oceans silver medal is very, very difficult. And yes, you know, I've missed 1 silver medal with 8 seconds. So I would have had 7 silver medals. I've missed it with 8 seconds. Now, that was the bad part in running a silver medal in Two Oceans.
And also there are 1 or 2 little hills between the start and the finish of Two Oceans as well. Tony, you are known as, also known as Rue's owner. And there's this legendary story about Rue and Tony Abramson. You want to fill in the viewers?
Yeah, Rue was my running soulmate for the better part of 10 years or so. She and I met, I suppose, when I was a young engineer working on a project in the Kalahari area, and she was a part of a litter of a pack of foxhounds that a farmer owned, and he had them because they had a real problem in the Kalahari with jackals, so they were working dogs, just as the foxhounds on the English hunts are working dogs. And I came by a puppy, and very, very soon, after she got legs, she grew to a certain, it was very obvious she just loved running. Brought her back to Cape Town, and In 1976, I think it was, she jumped out of my girlfriend's car. She was seconding me around about Chappies, and she ran through to the finish. That was her first 2 oceans. And then I think she finished another 5 of them altogether until about 1984, 85, when dogs were banned from running in races, both in the oceans and there was a lot of debate about that at the time. But but Rue really challenged me. She would wake me up every morning to go for our run. So I mean, I was forced to run for that 10-year period because she so loved it. Okay, one little story that I could relate about Rue is that that if you know anything about running and long distance training runs, it's always very important to know where your water point is. And they need to be about 5K intervals. So I was running with the group and Rue was with us, and we'd left Noordhoek, which is the last water point, and the next one is 5Ks, and it's a little water basin nestling in the cliff with lovely spring water, just about a few hundred meters from the top of Chapman's Peak. Blazing hot day, and so as we approached there, Rue went ahead and she, instead of allowing us to drink there, she jumped up there and should lay there in the bath of water, enjoying the cool spring water. So that was a put paid to that, and we had to wait until Hout Bay, another 5Ks before we could drink.
It's always important to have a running partner on your long runs, but it's also important that a running partner follows etiquette. Louis, you've been traveling all over the world, running races. You've become quite a celebrity. What do people tell you about running the Two Oceans Marathon when you're traveling all over the world?
Yeah, running overseas, it's absolutely fantastic. To be in a group of runners, international athletes, it's absolutely amazing. And if they really discover that I'm from South Africa, I'm always very, very visible. When I do run overseas, just recently I did the Boston Marathon and the Detroit Marathon, and I was running in the South African vest. And, I got photos from all over the world that people that identified me are sending these images to me. And, well, to be quite honest with you, if they really see you are from South Africa, they ask you, have you done the Comrades Marathon and the Two Oceans Marathon? And when you really mention this to them, that the amount of times I have completed both these races, it's just amazing. And this is actually why I am so well known in the international field as well, with my comrades, 47 comrades and Two Oceans. Well, I'm the first and only runner that have done 40-40 of both of these races. And currently I'm the only one that has done this to date. And I'm trying to do the 6 majors. I've done Berlin, Boston, and New York. This year, I'll be doing London and Chicago. Next year, I'll be trying for Tokyo.
Wonderful, Louis. So sport and running is really part of a global industry. Maxwell, you worked in the sports retail industry for many, many years. How important is a race like Two Oceans with regards to selling of footwear and clothing to ensure that the economy is boosted?
When we come close to the race, Two Ocean, I would say 3 months, 4 months before Two Ocean, we'll start in seeing our sale growing up, because everybody is training for Two Ocean. They start to buy some new shoes to put some distance, mileage for Two Ocean. And then for that 3 months towards the Two Ocean, we'll always hit our target. We always have some good sale. And then we just think Two Ocean is always very helpful to us in the retailing side.
So Two Oceans is more than just a race. It's
Yes.
also part of the economy and our society and our communities. And I maybe want to end off the session with each one of you and asking you on your reflections. Now, we know that Two Oceans has become this massive, massive race where the demand for entries have become quite huge. The demands from the authorities with regards to legislation have become quite important. Just your reflections on, where you started out, one of 46 runners, and then one of 346 runners, and how the race has grown and some of the stresses and strains, that we find in race organizing today. Tony.
Yeah, Dave, the race, as I say, as we were saying earlier, I think there were 49 runners, 50 runners when I first started in 1971. And for many years, starting at Brookside and finishing at Brookside, it felt quite a personal race. One knew all the runners, or a lot of the runners. One knew the organizers very well. And as the race grew, it went beyond the ultra, and it started growing, other races, the half marathon, the trail runs, the races for the all members of the family could take part. I personally think it's been wonderful to see the event become enlarged like that, and somehow, whilst it's expanded into all those realms, the ultra still remains the focus, and I know that is the objective of the Two Oceans Organising Committee, to keep that ultra as being the profile. I want to just then say also that my thanks go to all of those people who've been involved over the years in organising it. Chris Rue, Dave Fenter, Chet Sainsbury, Harold Berman. I mean, there are so many names of people that I've been associated with over the years. And it goes beyond the organisers of the race. The friendships that one has developed with other runners. I mean, that is one of the huge benefits that I think most runners will agree brings you as a runner. Not only the friendships, but also it helps you build qualities of life values. Like steadfastness and grit and integrity, as my old friend John Brimble would always say. It just added a huge dimension and huge amount of value to my life over the years. And we have the researchers too, I think Tim Noakes, we've run with Tim Noakes over so many years. He of course graduated as a doctor in the early 70s, and immediately went into researching running, which in the later 70s became a huge international, wave of popularity. And Tim was one of the earliest, pure researchers of what makes running tick. What is the physiology of the running? What should runners do to improve their times and so on? He, in the later 70s, until he published his famous book, The Law of Running, he published his research in articles, and I remember the name now. It was called Mbeleki. That was if somebody has copies of Mbeleki, they should republish them. They were really, really worthwhile reading, and we really enjoyed them, and we learned a lot out of Tim Noakes' research as he went through, and he's provided a huge amount of benefit to running.
Great. Maxwell, your early memories and how it compares to today?
Sure. Tuition, been for years and years, you've been doing very well. I think compared with this year's running, this is getting beyond the limit. And then you don't see most of the people, they're more like a social runners more than a competitor runners. Then we also appreciate that, because to get more field, you have to get supporters from the social runners. And then in the old days, tuition used to be really a race for certain people to run that race. Because you can't, if you are not ready to run 56, you'll never take part in tuition. That's why it took me long to get into it, because it was a very good ultra. And then with the two hills, Chapman's Peak and Constantia Neck, that will be like you die before you start running. And then we said, no, if I run to Ocean, how am I going to get up to Chapman's Peak? If I run, how am I going to go up to Chapman and Constantia? Those are the two hills you always think about it. But now everybody just said, I'll run to Ocean. They also get enough time to finish to Ocean. In the old days, you used to go run there, you know you're going to run under 5 hours. The most runners, they were running under 5 hours. Now they get enough time, 7 hours, spend more time on the road. I think that's the only thing is making the two Ocean getting bigger and bigger, because everybody can just go out and run to lose weight and do whatever they want to do. Yeah.
Louis, your impressions of today's race and where you started out in 1976?
Well, the race has grown from 356 runners to 37,000 entries over the 2 days for the events. It was presented, especially with all the friendship runs and the fun runs the Friday and the toddlers events. I would like to wish the organisers all the best and success for the future of the race. And, you know, Tony and Maxwell has really summed it up very, very well. And I want to congratulate Tony and on his 44 Two Oceans, and hope we, both of them, the two of us is going to reach 50. And, you know, both of us, we're not rivals, we are friends, and we are great friends, and we must keep it that way. And I'm looking forward to the next event and to the next 6 Two Oceans that we can reach our 50.
Thanks very much, everybody. I think that's an incredible note to end off the segment, is that Two Oceans is more than just a race. It's more than 21 Ks, it's more than 56.6 kilometers. It's about the community that you build around it and how it can contribute to the health and wellness of our communities and our clubs. Gentlemen and Lucille, in her absence, thank you very much for the bedrock you've become for this race. And we trust and hope that the future generations can take forward your fantastic work. Thank you very much, everybody.